In this video we're going to be looking at logarithms, but before we can deal with logarithms, what we need to have a look at are indices. 16. We know that we can write 16 as a power of 2. So this is 2 raised to the power 4. Now, need to give some names to some of these numbers. So this number here, 4, gets called a number of different things. I've just called it a power. Sometimes it gets called exponent, and sometimes index. So that's the 4. But what about this number? This number doesn't usually get a name, but it does have one. And it's referred to as the base. So, another example might be 64. 64 is 8 to the power 2. So in this case, the 2 is the power, the exponent or the index, and here 8 is the base. So, having got the language clear for indices or powers, what about logarithms? Well, let's see what the motivation might be for wanting to use logarithms. We know, as we've just seen, that 16 is 2 raised to the power of 4. 8, similarly, is 2 raised to the power of 3. Now, supposing we wanted to multiply 16 by 8. Well, one way of doing it would be long multiplication. And we can do that, and the answer is 128. But there is another way. Rather than having to go through this multiplication sum, which, if the numbers were other than 16 and 8, would be very long, can we not make use of the way we've expressed these? 16 times by 8 is 2 to the power 4 times by 2 to the power 3. And from laws of indices, we know that when we do this kind of calculation, what we do is we simply add the indices together. So what was a multiplication sum, we've reduced to an addition sum. Similarly, we could do this sort of thing with division. So if we had 16 divided by 8, that would be 2 to the power 4 divided by 2 to the power 3, and that would just be 2, because we would subtract the indices. Now, if we had a table of numbers where we listed these powers, then all we would need to do is look them up, do addition, and then look back again at what this 2 to the power 7 actually meant, that it means 128. Now, this idea is the whole basis of logarithms. And they were devised in the late 16th century by two mathematicians working independently, John Napier and Henry Briggs.